Dick Grob.
Was there any serious matters doing security for Elvis? Was there ever anything going on where you really thought, how are we going to handle this? Oh, I know you would handle it, but that it worried you a little bit.
If I told you that, I'd have to kill you.
This is going to be a short interview.
We did have another, this is one of the problematic things. We were at on tour, and the colonel, I was traveling ahead that particular day because we were doing 2 jumps. We were leaving where we were playing, going to play an afternoon performance, and then go on to the next city. So I went with the colonel in the afternoon performance city, and he calls me over and he said, Dick, he said, and he didn't call me Dick, everybody was Mr. Grob or Mr. Thompson and things with the colonel. He never called you by your first name. So he's got this police captain over there, and he says, Mr. Grob? So I go over and I said, yes, sir. He said, the police captain here tells me that, you know, we've hired 40 policemen to work the detail today. He said, but he needs to bring in another 40 policemen because they just got an anonymous bomb threat. He said, Mr. Grob, it's your call. I said, Colonel, I said, Elvis is just about ready to leave the city that we were at before. I said, but, you know, I can't take any chance that there is a bomb here, and maybe these guys can't find it, so I can't bring Elvis in here. I'm going to go call right now and route him right on to the next city that we'll just have to cancel this performance. And the Colonel said, are you sure, Mr. Grob? I said, Colonel, you know I've got to look out for Elvis's safety, right? I said, I'd suggest you have the captain, when the people all get in here, get up on stage and tell them that there's no show, that it's canceled because of this possible bomb threat. And all of a sudden the captain is saying, wait a minute, you know, he said, maybe we need to check out and see whether maybe we don't need 40 more officers here, which the colonel wasn't going to pay for because he knew it was being put on, you know, to hire more policemen. And this guy didn't want to get up there and make that statement to all the people that his police department couldn't bring Elvis into town. And the colonel would put you in situations like that, and you just went along with because you instantly knew what was happening. So that was a performance problem.
How was your relationship with the colonel? How was your relationship with the colonel?
I had a good relationship with the colonel. We had only one big problem that happened between us. And after that got resolved, there was never a problem between us. And we were leaving. Sam and I was right after the other guys got terminated, and Sam was working full-time with us. And Sam and I were in the same city with Elvis, and we were going on because this was another double jump. We were going on to the next city, and then I was getting off at that next city, so I'd have everything ready when Elvis came in, and Sam was going on to the third city. And Elvis had told me the night before to go and see Al DeVorn, who was the money man, because they always they'd pick up the money from the show, and they'd carry it in a brown paper bag while we're walking around. You know, there'd be $100,000, $200,000 in this brown paper bag. So I went and I got $10,000 in cash because Elvis wanted to buy somebody something or other. And I had it in my briefcase. Well, all of a sudden, Sam and I are down meeting the colonel and his group at 7 o'clock in the morning in the cafeteria. We're going to have a cup of coffee, eat some breakfast. And the colonel said, "Where's your luggage?" I said, "What time are we leaving?" He said, "It's 7:15 now. We're going to leave at 7:45. So I leave my briefcase down there with the 10,000, because these guys are all sitting there. And Sam and I run upstairs, pack our bags, bring them down and get them set out in the hall so Elvis's group, David Stanley and Rick and those people, can load it on a plane, and we'll catch up with it later. Come back downstairs, and the colonel's out loading the car. Everybody's working with things. Colonel's standing there watching. I don't see my briefcase. And I said to George Parkhill, who was with the colonel, I said, "Where's my briefcase?" He said, "It's in the calf coffee shop." I said, "What? Why didn't you take?" He said, "The colonel said it's not our job to move your luggage." And I'm thinking, now how do I go up and tell Elvis I just lost $10,000 that he's responsible? So I go in, and luckily that my briefcase is still down there at the bottom of the table. And George Parker had said, he tried to pick it up, and the colonel said, "Leave it." Now I'm upset with the colonel and his money. I take it out, put my briefcase in the car. Sam put his briefcase in the car. We get to the airport to get on a plane. I take my briefcase off and put it on a plane. I've moved my baggage. Sam takes his off. The rest of the baggage isn't ours to move. Colonel had made it very responsible. You are responsible for your baggage. We get to the next city and start unloading. I take my briefcase off, Sam takes his off. I walk over and lean on the wing of the aircraft and let the colonel's crew take theirs off. The colonel comes marching over and he said, "Dick," he said, "Mr. Grob, you understand, we work together here." I said, "Wait a minute, I understand you just told everybody that you're responsible for your baggage. I took mine, I'm responsible for mine. Sam took his." And the colonel got really upset because now I'm calling his bluff. And he said, "Well, we'll talk to Elvis about it." I said, "Wait a minute, Colonel." I said, "Right over there is the fixed base operator's office. Well, they have telephones in there. Let's walk over there and I will call Elvis and wake him up. And you can talk to him about this." And Sam and I start walking over there, and Sam is saying to me, "You think we can do this?" I said, "We're going to try. Who knows, you know?" And all of a sudden, the colonel says, "Wait a minute, Mr. Grob, I think we can work this out right here." He didn't want me to be calling Elvis and having Elvis telling him who I work for. Never had a problem with the colonel after that.
It just comes to my mind, when you guys were on tour, there was a lot of cash. I know the security was on Elvis, but who took care of all that cash for the colonel? The merchandise sale? I heard somebody said they just got it in a black plastic bag and then they walked away with it.
That's it. Al DeVorn was the guy who got the cash and picked it up and here and there. And they'd walk away with it, you know, and it's like, I'm thinking, boy, if I was in charge of that, I'd have 14 people around him with guns, you know. They just trip off the road, and they never lost a dime.
Oh, that's what I heard.
And we never lost a baggage either, going on and off of Elvis's airplane. Too bad some of the airports around here and airlines can't make that work.
That's true, we lost two, right, coming over. Not you, but James and Tony did. Anyway, talking about airplanes, how was it when Elvis was landing in in an airport. How did the whole operation, were the airport prepared for it? Was there a special way for?
Yeah, you know, before a tour went off, let's say we planned a 14-day tour, 13 different cities, and 16 shows. Okay, that's the tour that's set up. About 3 weeks before we left on tour, we made that trip around to each city, each hotel, each arena, you know, and I'd be there, or Sam would be there, and we'd be marking down times. You know, okay, it's a 15-minute from the airport to the hotel, and it's 17 minutes from the hotel to the arena. This is the route. The arena, you go in the left-hand door on the back, or whatever it was. We knew how high the stage was going to be, what side Elvis was going in on, or what side he was going off on, if that changed. So we could know this. And this was all put together before we went. Now, we knew where the box office was and how the ticket sales were going to be handled and so forth. So every time that this happened, and we went to every city, and sometimes we'd do 2-3 cities in a day, and we'd hire different things like limousine companies, or did we have to have buses, or did we have to have special steps to go up? Once he got his own airplane, Lisa Marie, then we had our own set of stairs that was on the plane. But we checked all these out, and we knew where we had to make, because of construction or something like that. And sometimes we actually made some mistakes. We hired a limousine company in St. Louis, and my connections with the St. Louis Police Department, they called me up and they said, Dick, did you guys hire this limousine company? I said, yeah, you know, George Parkhill and the Colonel's group made that decision. He said, well, do you realize that that's a company that's run by the local prostitute group here in town? I said, no, I don't think I knew, but I didn't but I will bet you the Colonel's people didn't know it either. But it will change. I got on the phone to the Colonel and I told him, well, the Colonel was burning up the wires, and luckily we had not signed a contract yet with it. And that was a plus I got in the Colonel's court. Saved them a lot of embarrassment.
We got a little time left. Does anybody in the audience have a question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
That's your problem if you got a question, not mine.
The Colonel didn't want Elvis to tour outside the US, and he blamed it on not being able to handle the security. I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Well, in the first place, you're wrong. The Colonel didn't have a problem with Elvis going out of the country. We were, in fact, planning after that tour was over, that never happened because Elvis passed away. There were at least 5 of us that were going, and the plan was to go first to London, then to Paris, then to Berlin, then to Moscow, and then to Tokyo, to see if we could work out one security, at least I was there for security, with the local law enforcement, because everybody's got different little ideas, you know, and would they allow me and my people to carry weapons? That was one thing. Next thing was, where could we hold one of these? Nobody seemed to have big enough buildings that we could put 12, 15, 30,000 people inside an arena. Elvis hated, yes, there were a lot of football fields and those kind of arenas that you could have, but Elvis hated very much because the sound in an open arena was terrible. It never met his criteria. And that was one of the biggest things that Elvis was concerned about, because he wanted the crowd, you fans, to be able to hear the music the way he knew you wanted to hear it and he wanted to give it to you. And it's impossible to do that in an outdoor arena. There was absolutely, first people say the Colonel couldn't go. My information is that yes, the Colonel could have gone, but it didn't matter because the Colonel didn't have to go. These would be 1 day or 2 day situations. The other big problem was it's maybe a year ahead. How do you know what the weather is going to be like if you have to play in an outdoor arena? If it's raining or snowing or freezing, how do you handle that? These were all things we were beginning to look at. But yes, Elvis wanted to go overseas. That's one reason he bought the Lisa Marine. Because if we had to stay in a place where we couldn't make the right hotel accommodations or anything, Elvis could stay on board the Lisa Marine. Our flight crew was tremendous. Carol Bouquier, one time, just to prove what she could do, put together steak and lobster dinner for us all to eat on the Lisa Marine. So all of these things were being looked at and worked at, and Elvis wanted to do it. That was why he bought the Lisa Marine. It could make those flights without big problems. So people who think we didn't want to go, there were reasons. You know, Elvis, you could get into a smaller arena with our band and our group, which is about 60 people, just roughly at different times. But the cost to do that is not going to fit into the $17.50 ticket that Elvis finally let us move up to. When Humperdinck and Jones were doing $35 and $40 tickets. Elvis had a fit, and we had to really argue with him to raise it from $15 to $17.50 on a tour that never happened. You've got to then move up because you got a big cost if you're flying a plane over there. You got 60 people you got to put up in hotels and so forth. You know, you're not going to get away with 2,000 seat arena at $17.50 a ticket. Not going to happen. So you had to be very careful. It was not something you could just snap your fingers and do, but it was being considered. And it would have meant also a kind of a small change in Elvis's scheduling, taking him away from doing these long tours, you know, and doing 14, 15 days steady without a break. And he was the only person that does it. You look at the people today that do these, they'll do 2 or 3 big cities, and then they don't have anything. So they have everybody sit down for 2 or 3 days, and then go on when they get to the next city. They don't get paid for those 2 or 3 days that they're not sitting down. So, you know, there were a lot of concerns, but it was not that the Colonel didn't want him to go. And I was there when I would happen to be present when the Colonel and he had talked, and that's when the decision was made that Jerry Weintraub and Tom Hewitt, who were Management 3, would put together with some of the Colonel's people and some of Elvis's people to go over and look at these areas and try to figure out different things. When it would have happened, I don't know. The point is, it never did happen. It won't.
Okay, we have time for another one. Anybody else has a question for the group? Where? Over here.
Is it, just so I understand it, is it true Elvis always wore a gun? On stage. Only one gun? Who told you that? I'm telling you, you're a fool. Elvis would sometimes carry 3 or 4 guns on stage. And to be honest, he did some stuff with these guns that was drove me nuts. He had one that was a little Derringer he had in his boot on stage. He does a karate kick, the gun goes off and sails through the air, lands and slides across the stage, and ends up at the feet of the Sweet Inspirations, you know, and they're like, whoa, you know. We were flying when we were going to play Madison Square Garden. We're going into New York City, land at JFK airport. And Elvis by then had the Lisa Marie. And we're flying along and the pilot calls in. You know, if you've ever gone into JFK, planes circle around up there. They have all these commercial planes on. Pilot calls in and says to the airport control tower, says, this is Nora 880 Echo Papa, which was the call numbers for our aircraft. And they said, oh, Roger, you're cleared for straight-in approach. We're not going to fly around and have him circle. They let us come right in. And I had received word, because I always wrote to every police department saying we would be there, and the people and so forth, what we would do and who to contact. And they had sent me a letter saying, only you and Sam Thompson are allowed to carry weapons because you're police officer related. Everybody else. So I tell everybody, no guns, because they put you in jail if you're caught with this. And I could just see, you know, this happening. Elvis gets out of the plane, the chief of police is down at the bottom of the steps, and Elvis has got this sweatsuit type thing on with an elastic waistband. And I can see the bulge in his waistband. Not one, but 2. So that tells me there are 2 weapons in there. Little did I know there was another one hidden, but he steps out on this steps to go down to the bottom. And there's these several police officers down there. And 2 .45 automatics slide down his legs, hit the next step down, and bounce down all the way to the very bottom. I'm standing there at the bottom thinking, oh God, somebody's going to jail. I hope it ain't me. Elvis walks down these steps. The chief of police picks these 2 weapons up and says, Mr. Presley, I believe these are yours. And hands them back to him. And I thought, Jesus, are we lucky this time? And, you know,
Okie dokie. We will continue the program right now. Ladies and gentlemen, last night we were honored to present to you for the first time in records the Sweet Inspirations Band. Woo! And now I want to present to you the original drummer, the one and only. He was there from 69 to 77. Mr. Jerome "Stump" Monroe. Please give him a hand. Hey Stump, we need 2. Can I call you Stump? Can I call you Stump? You don't mind? Thank you, Stump. Hey, how did you get that name?
Very long story. When I living back in Washington, D.C., the band that I started out with said, hey man, you're very short. We're going to call you Stump, like it's pre-Stump. So that name stuck with me all my life. I'm 74 years old now. And they still call me Stump, which I don't mind it because it's a good nickname. You know, it's not too many people say stump. And they know exactly what they're talking about when they say stump. So I like the name. That's how I got the name, really.
Oh, cool.
The band back in Washington gave me that name. And when Elvis heard it, he looked at me and said, "Your name really Stump?" I said, "Yep." He said, "Okay then." So he started calling me Stump. So I said, well, I better stick with that name. If EP called me that and like it, everybody else should like it. So I stuck with me all these years.
That's cool.
Yeah, I call Elvis EP.
Yeah, I know you call Elvis EP. We're going to take a few pictures. You know, I bought one of your tour jackets and we're going to put it on the museum.
Yeah.
And we took pictures up on the first floor and we wanted a picture with you and the Elvis on Tour poster. And you said to the photographer, by the way, my good friend Tony Stutzborough is standing over there. Please give Tony a hand. He's actually been a good help in everything I'm doing. Supporting him. He's a good friend. Him and his wife Alma. Anyway, listen, we were taking pictures and in front of that Elvis on Tour poster, and you did this. You said, it's EP in the picture.
That's who it is.
You call him EP.
Let me tell you something. I couldn't find another person to work with. Those 9 years that I played with Elvis, he was a good man. If anybody ever tell you that Elvis Presley wasn't a good person, don't believe it. I was there. And that man was good.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey guys, let me say something before we continue. There is a little bit of noise up here. Guys over there, Martin and Martin fans. Martin, yeah, please. It's very loud. Okay, we have a talk show. I hope you appreciate it, but it's easier for us to communicate when we can hear each other.
Thank you.
But anyway, so you worked with Elvis.
Well, I worked with Elvis, Ricky Nelson, his show, Martha Reed and Vandellos, D. Clark. D. Clark made Raindrops. If y'all don't know who he is, he was a big star back in the U.S. Billy Stewart, you ever heard of him? Yeah, Cuba Gooding and the Main Ingredients, Marlena Shaw. Just a whole lot of different people. I had a beautiful life, I really did. By playing drums, because most people that play music have a very hard life. You cannot make a life playing music unless you have a record out or something, or you become a big star. I'm not a big star. I'm a drummer, and I taught myself how to play, and the Lord gave me a talent, and I used it. And it brought me this far with Elvis. It was a reason for it. So I appreciate it, okay?
But working every night with Elvis, and not really playing with Elvis, but then you did it. There was one night.
Well, let me tell you this, man. You may not believe this. I've been playing a long time, but when Elvis Presley called me in this dressing room and said, "Stump," see, I played for the whole show. Joe Gershio, Stamps Quartet, JD and them. When Elvis called me in the dressing room, I knew something was wrong. I said, now why would he call me in the dressing room and want to talk to me? Well, he wanted to talk to me to tell me I'm gonna play drums behind him, which I didn't have no idea. I didn't know his music. Cause Ronnie Tutt is a crazy man on drums. I'm not, okay? But anyway, what happened was, I never forget this. He said, set me down. He said, "Stump, you gonna play drums behind me?" I said, "You gotta be kidding me, man." He said, "No, you gonna play drums. What drums you wanna use?" And I was so stupid at the time, I picked Ronnie Tutt drums.